Now go to two-step, now go to two-step, now go to two-step, now go to two-step, now get jiggy with it, 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 now go to two-step, hey, wait a two-step, now get a two-step, like a two-step, watch me get jiggy with it, watch me get jiggy with it, watch me get jiggy with it, watch me get jiggy, go to two-step. I hit it up fresh, my stunner shades on, two-stepping, getting jiggy with my J's on. Don't get your steps wrong, don't try to bite mine. Two-stepping, yell back, one more time. See, we gon' form a line, then we gon' step it right. Now step it to the left, girl, you know you dynamite. Let's have some good times, I see you got it right. Keep my wrist ice colder than a Bud Light. Now I'ma take my time, where the gangsters at? And you can still post a wall, nigga, holla back. Grey goose and yak, blunt fit with cushion. I'm getting jiggy with it, smoking on that jug.
It's the actual photo shoot, fashion show.
Gotta
Hey, yeah,
get
you,
it all in, man.
right? Get all the access you can, man. Certainly appreciate it. Appreciate it. Matter of fact, may as well get one of his strings too. Shoot, do your thing. We right here. What is this? So this is the second month, 20th day of 2020. So it's two. It's a lot of twos in today. It's 2,
it's 2,
20, 20, 20.
Yeah, our boy.
Yeah, crazy. Yeah, the numbers never lie. The ball don't lie. So, doing some research, man. And you're hearing about all of these different cannabis companies that are going public, going live. I was looking at Canada's cannabis market, and they have these weird rules. They actually, it just came out. How I understand it is that they're going to allow the growers to sell to consumers, but it has to go through their dispensaries, and it's rebought back from the dispensary to the grower in order to sell it to the consumer.
Wait, retrace that one more time.
So the grower, what did they call them? The GPO? I think whatever it was like a processor, LP, or the licensed processor. That's what it was. They were using acronyms, and so it came out to be the licensed processor can grow the bud, but in order to sell it directly to consumers from the farm, they have to sell it to a dispensary. The dispensary then resells it back to the licensed processor, back to the farm, so that people can come and just purchase it directly from the farm instead of the. So essentially, they're still making sure the dispensaries, the people who put up the bread to get these brick and mortars, are going to get their reinvestment back, and it's going to be at they're reselling the wholesale back to them at a markup. Oh, that's crazy. That's no Vaseline. None. Let me see if I can find the law. Canada license processor.
Now, what is this what's the premise of
So I guess just like here, everybody doesn't want to go to a dispensary. Everybody doesn't want to get a medical card. Everybody doesn't want to be above board. You know, there's still some people who love to live off the grid. So LP in Canada, licensed processor -- licensed producer. And it states that the acronym LP, all companies in Canada who plan to process cannabis must hold a federal processing license. License holders can sell cannabis to other licensed cultivators or processors and authorized researchers. The cultivation license is broken down into two subclasses: standard processing licenses, micro-processing licenses. And just from the words themselves, you're able to figure out, or you should be able to figure out, what the two different classes are. But again, for sake of just using the acronym as I had to figure it out, LP, a licensed processor, they can produce cannabis other than obtaining it by propagating, cultivating, or harvesting. Well, let me start it back over. The licensed processors listed below are authorized to perform some or all of the following cultivation activities under Health Canada's cannabis regulations. They can produce cannabis, in parentheses, other than obtaining it by propagating, cultivating, or harvesting. They can sell and distribute cannabis to other license holders, processors, and these license holders are processors, analytical testers, researchers, cannabis drug license holders, micro cultivators, sell and distribute to licensed nursery, send and deliver cannabis products to a license holder that is authorized to sell cannabis for medical purposes, or to a person authorized to sell cannabis under a provincial or territorial act. So there must be the Native Americans that were pushed up there. Because what other territorial acts are there? That's a whole other conversation. Send and deliver cannabis products that are plants or seeds to the purchaser at the request of a license holder that is authorized to sell cannabis for medical purposes, or to a person authorized to sell cannabis under a provincial or territorial act. Again, protected peoples. So, well, I guess it's really not payola, but in a sense it is payola. Wow. So you can grow this and you have to sell it back. You can grow it, you sell it, buy it back to sell it.
Buy it back in order to sell it.
That's a cold piece of work right there. That's real cold. Real cold.
Somebody will tell you business is business.
I mean, business is business.
Somebody's on the end of the stick where they're gonna say business is business.
But it's real that's wild that they essentially put.
Ain't that like a extortion damn near?
Nah, no.
Make you sell it to me and buy it back from me before you can sell it.
That's not extortion. So extortion, how I understand it, is like, let's just say the pizza spot over there, they're new to the block and they're coming by and saying, look, huh? Yeah, essentially, yeah. In order for your pizza joint to be open over here, we need $400 a week.
Percentages.
Yeah, to make sure your windows stay intact. That's extortion.
Make sure them crazy kids from up the street don't come by.
Right. You know, there's an apartment above your pizzeria that's abandoned, and sometimes things come through the roof.
Right.
We need $560 for the nails, boards, and hammers.
Tools.
Right. Tools is, but what it sounds like is, I mean, I don't know if it's extortion. That's a heavy word for it, though. They're essentially they're stretching the dollar and what it is that the cannabis actually produces, and making it so that all hands that it took to get to this point are being greased on the way back down.
Everybody eats, B.
Yeah, everybody eating. So, like, I get it, man.
Canada's one of those places where they want to see everybody eating, right?
Yeah.
I heard it was nice. I heard it was, pretty reasonably fair state of living over there.
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
I've been to British Columbia, whatever. It's like 2 hours from Seattle. I drove up to Seattle up there, man. And I had the worst time getting across the border. It took me like an hour and a half. They kept me sitting there for an hour and a half, man.
What, at the border?
At the border to get from the United States into Canada.
Were you in like a holding or in the car? Or like
nah, they yanked me. They pulled me. It was actually me and a buddy of mine.
More information.
Yeah. You know, actually, I'll tell this wonderful story after the break, man. We're gonna try to see if we can pick something up real quick to partake in as we tell the story. Because stories are always better when there's a cloud in the air.
Yeah, for sure.
I bet. We're gonna go to a break. Hold
Not
up.
a rain cloud either. Right. A weed cloud.
Yeah, man, I say I'm special in this city, right? Because I'm like the one.
Yeah, our boy.
Now go to two-step, now go to two-step, now go to two-step, now go to two-step, now get jiggy with it, 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 now go to two-step, hey, why they two-step, now get two-step, like I two-step, watch me get jiggy with it, watch me get jiggy with it, watch me get jiggy with it, watch me get jiggy, go to two-step. I hit it, young fresh, my stole the shades on. Two-stepping, getting jiggy with my J's on. Don't get your steps wrong, don't try to bite mine. Two-stepping, yell back, one more time. See, we gon' form a line, then we gon' step it right. Now step it to the left, girl, you know you dynamite. Let's have some good times, I see you got it right. Keep my wrist ice colder than a Bud Light. Now I'ma take my time, where the gangsters at? And you can still post a wild nigga, holla back. Grey goose and yak, blunt filled with good shit. I'm getting jiggy with it, smoking on that George Bush. Step.
Walk it like I talk it. Walk it like I talk it. Walk it like I talk it. Ooh. Walk it like I talk it. Talk it. Walk it like I talk it. Walk it like I talk it. Walk it like I talk it. Ooh. Walk it like I talk it. Hey. Take my shoes and walk a mile, something that you can't do. Hey. Big talks of the town, big boy gang moves. I like to walk around with my chain loose. She just bought a new ass, but got the same booze. Whipping up dope scientists. That's my sauce where you find it. That's my sauce. Look it up. Adding up chicks don't mind it. Get your respect in diamonds. I bought a plain Jane roller. These niggas bought they fame. I think my back got scoliosis cause I swerved the lane. Heard you signed your life for that brand new chain. I heard think it came with stripes, but you ain't straight with the game. Walk it like I talk it. Walk it like I talk it. Walk it like I talk it. Ooh. Walk it like I talk it. You walk it like I talk it. Walk it like I talk it. Walk it like I talk it. Ooh. Walk it
So,
like I talk it.
I did an internship when I was down in, when I lived in Seattle. So this is 2001, and up until that time, I hadn't smoking like bud that was out here, or you know, the homegrown, or definitely some Mexican. It was definitely Mexican because, well, I'll just say it came from Mexico. Yeah. We had a buddy of mine that lived in Houston, and would get into Houston, and it would find its way back to the Houston shores of Maryland. But this is the difference of what I found was that in the Pacific Northwest, which I didn't know anything about this at all, living over here. But like that's the Emerald Triangle, and their bud, like back then, again, the bud was it was bricked, definitely brown. It wasn't like fluffy green. The weed there, I mean, it was how you wanted it to be when you heard about good weed. Like I didn't know weed grew like that. All I had always saw was what I saw. I mean, this stuff, it was fragrant. You see the colors, the different smells, the terpene profiles. And again, this is now going on this is 19 going on 20 years ago. So, my mind is blown. So I heard that also it was legal in British Columbia. So this summertime, while I'm up in Seattle, I'm like, well, one weekend I'm gonna drive up to British Columbia to see what it do. So it was like 2 hours, about 2 hours. Yeah, I lived in South Rainier Beach, and I rented a car. My buddy came from North Carolina because he had some people out there. He came and he rode with me, and so we ride up there. Of course, we burning it down on the way up there, on the highway, and just enjoying the scenery. Mind you, it's mountainous up there. It's the ocean. It's all kinds of hell yeah, man. We get to the border. Before we get there, gas up, clean the car out, make sure that nothing is in there, and
Can't cross that border with
nah, yeah, but I guess it was still in the air or the upholstery or something, or who knows. But we're at the border, and they take our passports or our licenses. I think it was just the license at the time, because mind you, this is also pre 911, so things were just a lot different then. Yeah, very different. And so I'd like to say it was licensed, because I don't even know if I brought my passport when I was out there, but I knew I had it. But either way, they say, can you step out the car? I'm like, oh man, this shit happens everywhere. So like even in Canada, so we get out the car and they bring us inside.
Not in Kansas. Huh?
Yeah, right. We get inside and they sit us, we sit down like it's like a lobby, and they bring out the dogs. They bring out like they go under the car. I mean everywhere. But the entire time that they're doing it, we have to fill out this paperwork, and they're asking us all these questions. And so my buddy, he's a Q, and he has brands. Like I don't even think I had a couple tattoos. I don't think I was done getting them. I probably got one more after that had happened, but I wasn't like all tatted up that was everywhere. Like all of mine were under my clothes. But one of the questions that was on the document was if you had any scars or identifying marks, and they said he was honest with it. He had some brands, and he put that on there, and I guess that rung a bell. So they was like, sir, you have a warrant they ran his information. It was like he has a warrant for his arrest in New York. And he was like, it can't be me. They were like, why? Because I've never been to New York. And it's so crazy. So they're making this stuff up, or it's factual, whatever. So we're up there mistaken identity or whatever it was. But what he said was that if I never said anything about that brand, then they probably wouldn't have likened it. But I guess the report was that detailed that they said he had these scars on him that would identify him. He was like, yeah, I got brands. But anyway, yeah, man, yeah, it was hilarious. But
oh, you branded.
man.
Let's look a little
So me,
into this-
I
this
can't.
guy here.
I guess I'm really easy going, but I guess there is a different side. But I probably was about to get my head cracked out there too, because they were trying to tell me. They was like, I'm walking around the room now because it's getting to like 30 minutes, an hour 15, and I stood up. I was like, I've been sitting in the car all this time. I want to stand up for a little bit. They were like, sir, will you sit down? And I was like, I don't want to sit down. I want to walk around. Man, they called the boys in there. 2 uniforms came in, hands on the sticks. And they was like, sir, can you have a seat? And I said, no, I don't want to sit down. And I was like, look, I've driven up here. Now I'm sitting in here. I was like, there's no real reason why we're being held at the border. And they were like, well, this is not America. They have a right, which is true. They have a right to refuse entry of a foreigner into their country. And I was like, well, that's.
They exercise that right.
Oh man, no. We kept talking. You know, we're going back and forth. Um, I guess what they were used to. Let me go back. While we were there, there was a couple of white people coming out, and they were definitely like, you know, hippie looking. No. They were hippies. They were like white folks with dreads. And whenever I see white folks with dreads, I'm thinking mushrooms, acid, bud, and LSD. I mean, that's my thought, but you know, that might be
stereotype.
Oh yeah, but they were denied entry. When we were walking up, they looked at us and said, "Good luck."
They put the stereotype on them too. It was like, we will not have that shit.
I mean, who knows, man? So I don't know who stereotyped too, but when they told me good luck, I didn't know what they were talking about. But I did remember, you know, what their appearance was.
Yeah.
And so the best part about it was I needed to make sure that they were I guess let me not say factual. I wanted to make sure that they were at least not just jamming us up just to be jamming us up. So again, when you know how to navigate these avenues here, you know, law enforcement is law enforcement. Don't matter.
So
where
what
you
was
go.
the result? So they let you?
Nah,
go, or
they were
how
really just messing with us after a while, but they let us go through. But they definitely. Well, actually, let me go back. I did sit my ass down. I did sit down because I got a little intense. They just let me know they weren't to be trifled with in that instance. So then we get there, and so again, this is 2001, so this is pre-Airbnb and all of those things. And the spot that I booked was it was a bed and breakfast, it stated, but it was actually in this mansion. It was like an 18-bedroom mansion. It was stupid, but there was like a room, but it was and it had, I guess, another room in the room. So we were we just
inside of it.
It was a room, and it was two guys. I wasn't going, we're not gonna sleep head to toe. So it was a room inside of a room essentially, but also this is pre-GPS. So this is like MapQuest. I don't know my way around Canada at all, like zero. And I think they drove on a different. I don't think they drove on a different side. But we had a tough time getting to where we were trying to get to. But another thing that stood out was that there was a lot of things that went on there that were crazy. But we went to a club, and like leading up to the club, like you always can have fun at the club. Well, leading up to the club, like the whole wall, there were girls. They were literally just standing against the wall, just like 25 of them. And as we're walking into the club, like, they'd say something to you. They're like, hey, how? I was like, God damn, they're really friendly here. And they're just, lined up
They're
here.
really friendly here.
Yeah, they were just standing there.
What were they working, or what were they doing?
So prostitution was legal there.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't know that though. I'm just sitting there like, these girls. I mean, they were bad too. I was like, God damn. So
I'm from America and everything.
Oh man,
I can smell that shit. Huh?
Man, look. So we get into the club, and again, I'm still referencing the time because I got to put you in the frame of mind what was happening.
Yeah.
It's 2001, so it was like a matter of fact, everybody was still playing 2001, Dre's Chronic 2000 or 2001. I think it was
Chronic?
2001. Yeah.
Dr. Dre, yeah.
So this kid was in the club and he started crip walking. The bouncers weren't having that. Yoked his ass up, yanked him out the club, like put paws on him and everything.
But see, that's when, that Crips and Blood shit was heavy at that time, too.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They were like, we're in Canada.
Yeah,
There's none of that here.
None of that.
Oh, man, yeah. Matter of fact,
Just finna get that flame started over here with that culture.
The next day.
Gangbanging shit. I mean, Canada, I heard overall, though, Canada was pretty, a pretty good place. Like, you know what I mean? Like, as far as keeping crime down.
Yeah.
Stopping the bullshit from happening and going on.
Right.
So, I mean, shit. Doing something, right?
So then, so the funny part was, well, it's not even funny. On the way back to the States, it took us maybe 45 seconds. There's like y'all to get back into the country,
Okay.
the border. So it took us an hour and a half to get through,
To
get into
there.
Canada, and in America.
They sent you back quick.
Man, they just waved us through. They was like, "You fellas have a good time? Okay, cool. Just waved us through."
Yeah.
And I was like, man, it's absolute madness, man. But the greater Pacific Northwest, like my gosh, man, it definitely. And that's when I went on my journey from there. That's what I was like, edibles, knowing the difference between quality cannabis and just bad cannabis. The standard had been set, and it was outside of California. So I just made sure, if it was bad bud, I'd stay away from it. And I had an excellent reference point as to what good weed was.
So speaking of good weed,
What was that?
what is this strain right here we have present? Let's take a nose dive.
Yeah, that's the good key lime pie. I think as it cures, it still brings out a lot of different flavors than I had it from the first time I sparked it.
Okay. We did do an accurate review of this.
Matter of fact, are you able to pull it up? Because the floral notes, I think it lists floral. I don't know if there's any berries. I ain't tasting any berries. You know what? How about we pull up these joints? What is it? Kim Hog, and what's the one you got? Jelly Breath.
Kim Hog and what is it? Jelly breath.
Mm-hmm. Is that the one you just rolled?
Yeah. Oh shit. Yep.
Oh man. Yeah, electronics and liquids don't mix.
Don't go together, huh?
Not at all. You stay away from my laptop. The one thing we don't have, we need a lighter sponsor. Anybody got a lighter company that they friends with? We need a lighter sponsor. No, we do the pre-rolls. Ashtray sponsor. What else? A merchandise sponsor.
We need a marijuana sponsor.
Well, it looks like the trusty ashtray sponsor has appeared again. We might need to get some flint, some wool, a rock. That's crazy, man. Oh. No, this the one. Is this the one I wrote? Yeah, this is them. Kim Hog. So I know they got Kim Dog. I wonder what the hog comes from.
Kim Dog and the Kim Hog. Let's see.
And there's a Tim Dog. I had his album. What did he say? Fuck Compton. Again, there's always been some East-West stuff, man. What's wrong with the East and the West?
East Coast strains.
They're from Maine?
Yeah.
Hey man, look, Vermont, Maine, I'm finding that that area, they produce some really good bud. They produce some really good bud, and a lot of people sleep. Matter of fact, my sister went to school in Vermont, and you wouldn't believe the snow they get up there. Yeah, it's like 56 inches, 36 inches, and they still going to school. It's like snow up to their shoulders.
Yeah, like how come the West Coast is good? I mean, we can't front, right? They got some weed.
Yeah.
So, the East Coast. I mean, we in the East Coast, we gotta be able to find somebody on this side. And these guys, boom extras. We do this. I get my statistics from them. I got a super silver ace. I get from them. That they literally, man, it beats the other tier. The higher tier that I get sometimes, they go for that instead of the higher tier.
Kim Hog.
This one?
Nah, it's Kim Hog and Jelly Breath.
Okay, let's find out.
Yeah, it's good not to always partake in your own buzz. You get to see the gamut. What is the
Well, jelly breath is a cross of Mendo breath and Do-si-dos. Okay.
Mendo breath? See, all of those breaths, every single one is that are breaths
Comes
they
from
are
Mendo breath?
Well, nah, they're really
What? Fire?
nah. All of the breaths is like super strong. What is the peanut butter breath? I think no, actually before peanut butter breath, it was meat breath. That was the first breath that I had, and like the name was less than to be desired. So I was like,
Yeah, I'm not feeling the name.
nah,
but
yeah, meat breath. Yeah, I didn't
any
like
breath,
the name.
Any of the breaths.
My
don't sound
God,
good
though,
to
that
me.
it was strong. It was so potent to this point that I was like, I can't partake in this during the daytime because I'm not gonna get anything done. It was definitely an evening time, like, you know, I know I'm not gonna do anything else. I might even watch a movie, and if I don't watch the movie, I'm gonna be watching the back of my
Movie's
eyelids.
gonna be watching me.
Hell yeah, because it was definitely super strong.
Right.
But it's a cross. Yeah, if anything that has any one of those breaths in there, it's gonna have a higher level of potency, and you got to be more than just a novice smoker to enjoy that. Now, what was the? I saw Kim Dog. I didn't see.
Yeah, I know about the Kim Dog, but
Yeah.
I've never had this Kim Hog.
Nah.
So
I'm tasting a little bit of the OG in there. The Hog. I've heard of the Hog. I haven't had it though.
try this.
Yeah.
jelly breath.
Jump on that jelly breath. What did it say? The Hog. One of the strongest strains in the world.
Really?
Yeah, 2002.
Oh.
See, I wonder if they're able to break down these, like these flowering times and these. Well, I guess everything is an estimate, but like West Coast climate is different than East Coast. You know,
Right.
the East Coast climate, and even the climate that's in Denver is a little bit different. You know, you have to equate for the altitude, especially in baking and any of the cooking. Though, I wonder if that also affects like, you know, nitrogen and phosphorus and all of that stuff as it pertains to when you're growing a plant. Like, does it translate? Does it have any bearing on it?
Well, you know what's crazy? I've never been on the growing side, so to be honest, I it's a lot of the little intricate details about growing that I just don't know about.
Well, the easiest way to find out is to start.
For me, God's way is the best way. Throw some shit in the dirt, throw some water on it, and let nature do the rest. Like, let it grow on its own.
So you know how I got into growing? It was just like that. I had a potted plant, and this is how it was bad. We even back again in those Mexican bricks, jelly breath. You would find seeds in them, and you know, some people will weed them out. You can catch them all, but when you ashed it, and one time I ashed it inside of the plate. The flower pot, and then a couple weeks later it had sprouted. I wasn't even watering it. I was pouring soda in there. I was pouring water in there, beer.
How that shit even sprout? Like what?
Once you germinated it, I guess, it probably, but it was enough that I could start smelling it because I started smelling weed, and I was like, I hadn't smoked. I don't have any in the house, but I'm smelling it. Sure enough, the joint started sprouting in the pot.
The first real dirty Sprite strain.
Man,
Clean Sprite strain.
clean Sprite.
That Sprite haze.
Sprite is.
That's something you didn't even know it.
So you know what's wild? This tastes definitely different than that one. I heard about one. What is it called? It's something. It's recent too. I want to get my hands on it though. It's something. The pepper. or it's like I'm trying to think. Is it deep pepper, black pepper?
I'm not sure, brother.
Well, I guess that's a good segue to go into history.
But, well, unless that history has something to do with some pepper, what strain we got? We got some pepper, cannabis pepper.
You know what, man? I read so much stuff.
It wouldn't be a bad idea, huh?
Who knows, man? I go down a lot of rabbit holes when I see things that interest me, and then I'll just keep going and going and going. But this was something rather recent. I don't know. It wasn't talking about the what do you call it? The terpene profile. It was an actual strain. We need to talk about land race strains at some point. Let's go all the way back.
You said who?
Land race.
Okay.
From how I understand, like the original strains. You know what? I didn't even put together whether so okay.
You high right now?
Oh, I'm very high. Yeah, I'm right there.
Yeah.
Nah, I couldn't put together whether or not you can tell the difference. Like back then, if you could tell the difference between bud that was from New York, bud that was from the South, bud that was from the Midwest, and then bud that was from Cali.
Okay.
Cause like back, let me not say back, but you remember Zonas, like Arizona?
Arizona, yeah.
Like I thought it was from Arizona. It was like, I thought that was the only place you could get it, and it was a consistent type every single time. And that's what folks used to holler. I got that Zona. I got that Zona.
Right.
Zona.
I remember that time period.
And then Hydro. Like, where's Hydro? If Zona's from Zona, where's Hydro? Like Niagara Falls or something?
Isn't President's Day? Is it just passed or is it coming up?
President's Day was on Monday. This past Monday.
Yeah, the water dro. That's what it called it, dro. Yeah. That
Hydroponics.
That hydroponics.
Deep water cultures.
Speaking of growing, I got a bit of marijuana trivia history.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. So in 1745, everybody knows George. That's why I asked about if it was President's Day. George Washington.
Word.
Yeah. So in 1745, apparently George Washington grew his own hemp. George Washington's diary entries indicate that he grew hemp at Mount Vernon on his plantation for about 30 years. According to his agricultural ledgers, he had a particular interest in the medicinal use of cannabis, and several of his diary entries indicate that he indeed was growing cannabis with high THC content.
Man, Cherry Tree George was smoking that bud.
The walls can talk.
Man, he didn't chop that tree down. He was out there rolling his bud up.
He was burning the tree down.
Right. Cherry trees make good rolling papers. So do sheets of the Bibles. From what I've heard. What's that? The jelly breath? Yeah, this is. Well, weren't they supposed to grow hemp back then? I think we talked about that before too.
I think this was before.
You sure?
I think
16, 17?
this was in 1745. When was that?
When was
Virginia,
Nah, that was Massachusetts, the other one, the law. Yeah, that was Massachusetts. It's a lot of crazy.
But you know what? Overall, man, I know there's some people that don't like weed. because you know, they might not smoke it, or but you know, overall, man, weed is good for everyone. Weed is good for the environment. Weed is good for your body, certain different ailments of your body.
Like, what is it helping you with right now?
Me, you mean me personally? It's helping me with it's helping me be high. Number one. Yes.
Okay.
It's helping me to feel great right now. That's what it's doing. So if I did have any ailments, I'm pretty sure they feel great too. So shit. Maybe that's why I do not have any ailments, because I love smoking weed.
You forgot your ankle hurt?
I haven't been sick in a very long time. I
Hey.
don't plan on being sick either. So
You know what? That's very true. It's powerful you say that, because it's people out there who think about being sick and wonder why they sick. It's because they always
sick, are you sick in the mind?
right, and it translates.
But you know, sometimes the weather does play a factor. You know,
Yeah, true. You can't walk around like this with no coat on.
right, so
The coat unzipped, all of that crazy shit. I think sometimes that the mind is more powerful than people give it credit for.
man, fuck what people think.
Well, that
It was my
pretty
responsibility. So that's like saying that just because you don't understand something doesn't mean that it's official, or doesn't mean that it's there, or that it can do what it does.
Man, that's America.
Well,
Yeah. Like, we're the greatest, most misunderstood country.
yeah, it's a lot.
Like China. China knows exactly what's going on right now.
Do they?
Oh yeah.
Shit, they know they running around trying to cure people this shit that's going on. What is it? Flu? What kind of flu is it? Coronavirus.
Yeah, the coronavirus.
Coronavirus. I was in the at the bar the other day, and she was like, "You want a Corona?" I was like, "Hell no!" I was like, "Give me a Heineken." Shit, I don't even want to fuck with nothing named sound Corona similar to that. So, but they see China and Asia, man. They got a lot going on over there, and I think that they got so much going on that's why that shit is floating around. Shit.
Population control.
I mean, I'm not even gonna say all that. I'm just saying, like, they fucking around with so much shit that something got out. Something touched something else, and it was a wrap.
Is that a conspiracy?
That's just my own little personal opinion.
What if it was in response to like the tariffs?
So,
So what did I read today?
see, I ain't been following politics like that to know about no taxes and all that shit. They might be having taxes. It might be population control. I ain't a conspiracy theorist though, so I don't know.
Nah, you know, who knows
Facts.
what's real news? Yeah. Well, so their government controls the news, so we don't know what's really happening there. That's what I'm saying. China knows what's happening.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I
they're
have no clue what's happening in China.
I think
Except
the
for
official title
manufacturing
is
some shit.
I
Sorry.
mean, yeah.
You know.
Nah, the official title of the person
I'm
at
in
the
the
head of the
business.
news is the head propaganda expert. Like, you know, if their title in itself tell you what it is, it's propaganda. But actually being there and knowing what's happening, you know, who knows?
Right.
They don't have Facebook, they don't have Twitter.
They ban their citizens from getting on
Right.
certain websites. Like,
Right.
They
So
want
nothing-
full control in China.
Everything that goes out is what they, it's been scrubbed.
I'm
So
like, yeah, crazy.
yeah, that's tough.
I'm talking about like in the streets. I don't know if it's in China, but one of these Asian countries where they already doing all the facial recognitions and scans.
Oh,
They
yeah.
know where you at.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
All that weird shit. So
Yeah, they've been
Man.
doing that. They've been doing that. It's
you know, they're very progressive though.
yeah, the things that we rely on, technology wise, originates there. It's like, so I don't understand why there would even be a a beef over what's being taxed. But I guess that's a whole other money bracket that
You start playing with those trillions.
Yeah.
Those billions and those trillions. And those whatever is after trillions, killions.
Who knows, man?
Yeah.
Well, actually, there's probably a number to
Those
put to it.
killions.
But yeah, so how I understand it, at least with the shipping, what I see it mainly in is a lot of the imports, like things that rices, I think corn, rice, tomatoes. There have been some vegetables, ones that are being imported, and they're taxing on that as well, depending on the distance or where it has to travel. I mean, there's a lot of history that goes into it, and there's people that saying it was going to build up to this point. So now that it's here, it's like, how do we navigate it, especially as it trickles down to the consumer? Because let's just say for these bags, when the price of these bags go up, and you have to buy them by the thousands now. But when you have to raise the amount that you buy to lower the cost to get it back to how it originally was, and even if you did like a 3 or 4 year forecast, is it going to be passed on to the consumer, or are you going to absorb that cost? How do you account for that? And it's nothing that you can control. You have zero control over it, and there's no finding another supplier because it's just being made cheaper there.
They definitely got a stronghold on manufacturing. The whole manufacturing industry, like literally.
Yeah. Another thing I wonder is, how it's so cheap there, and I'm not saying this in equation to how many people is there, but one thing I look at is like paints, and that they still use like lead-based paints, and we don't have to use. I mean, like we have codes against that for paints, but they have codes against some of the things that we sell in our grocery stores. Like there's food that we sell here that they won't allow to be sold there because of the amount of how processed it is. So, you're gonna get got some way, whether it's the toys that you're giving your kids to play with, or the Kraft macaroni and cheese.
Yeah, and it's interesting you say that because it's a lot of countries that don't allow some of the food that they allow here.
Yeah.
That's weird. It's kind of backwards, man. We need to get it together. But I see a lot of trends toward organic, and a lot more people going organic and becoming vegans nowadays. And that's one of the things that we do have a lot of here, is farming, is animal farming, and aside from that, it's not a lot of manufacturing that goes on still here in the U.S.
What is all outsourced?
Everything is outsourced.
Why?
You said why? Why? Cheaper.
But it's being taxed on the way back in.
Yeah, but I mean, on the front end, I guess it's a lot cheaper, so I guess you make up that cost.
And it still gets passed on to the end user.
Yeah.
All right, $90 Ace.
Everything's going up. Everything's got to go up. You got to pass. I mean, why I went down that rabbit hole with the whole thing about Canada was because they said, and I think we'll have to wrap on this. They were saying that the trend went from designer weed to consumers want cheaper weed, but still is potent. And so all of the cheap designer now.
Yeah, who knows? But all of the designers,
knockoff designer. A lot of niggas selling for the knockoff designer. That remix shit. Everybody remixing bags.
Yeah.
I don't know what time it is right now, but that is not the move.
Yeah, I saw something that said, the bud was this price, and if you wanted the bags, it was this price. Right. People are actually doing that. It was crazy.
Blatantly with it.
Yeah, it was crazy, man. So it really wasn't what it was, but if you wanted to be, you could put it in his bag, and it could be whatever you wanted to be. That's that.
Hey.
It was on Amazon. It was definitely on Amazon, but a lot of companies are folding now because they went public without the backing, expecting people to buy $100 eighths, and it's not going to be like that. And so, what is it? Canopy. I was just looking up there. I think that's what is it? Canopy, Aurora, like all of these large companies, man. Their CEOs are walking away. They still getting their.
I know about Aurora too.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It all sounded good when it started out. Now you're starting to see, man. It's a slow race. It definitely is a marathon. It's really not a fast dime. It's a slow nickel.
Grind never stops, man.
It doesn't. But that's it for us on Stranger Things tonight. Thank you for
Sure.
coming out. See you
Till
next week.
time.